Warm round of applause to Marek Stusenek.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming. My name is Marek. I'm a founder of Creative Nights. I'm a creative director of Creative Nights. And I have to say I'm definitely a better designer than speaker, so please don't throw any rotten tomatoes if you have any. Anyway, I want to thank AwwwardsConf for giving me the platform to speak here. We are not such a big players like the others, so this is a great opportunity for me to talk about a topic which I picked for this conference, contemporary trends versus creativity. So we're going to talk about that. But first, let me introduce myself and my partner. This is me, the guy on the left. And this is my friend, my partner, Martin Ehrlich. And this is us thinking creatively. This is how we do it. This is us brainstorming, pretending to work. We do a lot of talk in studio. And this is our office manager, but I forgot his name, I'm sorry. So we are located in Prague, Czech Republic, the heart of Europe, they say. And when I was searching for some picture that would describe what Prague is, I stumbled upon this sculpture that I had no idea that is in Prague. So apparently, there are more things than Charles Bridge and Prague Castle, so you are free and welcome to come. Okay, so let's get into it. I have a first question. Do you want to see the list of the hottest trends for 2023? No, absolutely not. I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna here to present you the latest list of hottest trends for 2023. I would rather open a conversation and put a critical view on the contemporary trends and how we embrace it. So I guess you stumble upon these articles on the internet. There are hundreds of these, and they appear every year. So I guess the topic of trends is something that resonates with everyone, with designers, developers, with managers, it could be clients. So now, how many of you heard one of these expectations from clients? We expect something cool, meaning that should be trendy. Or in contrary, we expect something timeless, meaning not trendy. But I feel like the word timeless lacks purpose, especially in the digital world, in the digital ecosystem that we are working with. We want to feel appreciated. We want to be accepted, to create something that stands out. And I feel like using trends, one of the easiest approaches to follow is to have some imagery checklist of what we should work with, what trends we should apply. Is it going to be bold typography? Is it going to be some scrolling effects, 3D visuals, or emojis? So it's tempting, but I believe it's some kind of mental shortcut for us that eases and shortens the way to achieve something that stands out and feels cool and gets appreciated. So why it works for others, so why not for me, right? So I believe that using trends takes us to the journey to our comfort zone. And I don't know about you, but I think that it doesn't support creative thinking or the creative process. Now let me show you an example of what happens if we lean towards trends, maybe too much, if we bet everything on one card. I don't mean to offend anyone here, it's just an example. So there's a bunch of portfolios that looks like we have a trendy typography, we have an interesting layout, we have these airy, beautiful colors, pastel colors. So it works, it's fine, but it feels like it will fade eventually too quickly. And also it will drown into the sea of sameness. This is a funny post from Sasha Agapov, which I found on Twitter, was making fun of how portfolios look in 2020, sorry. And honestly, I wouldn't expect something like this around portfolios, maybe on some corporate sites, something big. They want to feel safe, so they look alike. But on the portfolios, I would expect something that where you have freedom to show yourself, show what's in you, showcase of your creativity. So this is an example where the trend dominates the creativity. And these are the replies for the same tweets. As you can see, like people are making fun of it. And I don't think you want to be a joke, right? So there is a thin line between inspiration and plagiarism. The problem of this visual homogeneity is not only present in digital design, but also in the other creative disciplines, such as branding, where we can see this trend of simplifying the logos and losing a bit of their previous character. So I have a pointer over here. This is a great example of this fashion industry, what's happening around. They look almost the same, right? Or in typography, this trend of Jugendish, Art Nouveau, display typefaces. You almost can't distinguish which one is what. Or in advertising, the mood boards. This was an article I found on IGA, how mood boards are like affecting the result. Or the other example which I found on advertising using these illustrations everywhere. So I believe like sooner or later, this mechanical approach of applying trends will be replaced by AI. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but maybe in 10 years, 5 years, who knows. And if you look back in times where it was this era when Flash websites were dominating around millennium, you can really say that they looked same in some way. So the question is now where the problem lies. Is it the courage? Is it the education? Is it the fact that we live in an extremely online world? I will point out two problems. Maybe the problem starts at the very beginning of every project when we are creating mood boards. So ask yourself, are you creating mood board for you or for the client? We are overwhelmed with inspiration that pops up from every corner. Before we even think about creative goals and ideas, we open Pinterest, Awwwards, and dive into an ocean of beautiful references. The common practice in creative nights when we are creating mood boards is not to find out what the client likes, but what client dislikes. So this gives us an opportunity to embrace some idea and direct somewhere where the client just simply don't want to be. First problem with mood boards is the algorithm of websites like Pinterest. that suggest lookalike references and narrowing the visual direction and creative thinking. Problem number 2 could be that we get too attached to some of the references which were made in the past, but we are creating something for the future. And problem number 3, we strip the images or the references from the original idea. If we don't know what was the purpose of using the particular typeface, colors, or some other element, we just see a nice image, and that's just a nice image. So I have a first pro tip. It's just too easy and fast to create mood boards these days. So I recommend you to go out from your comfort zone, find inspiration somewhere else, and open your mind. Or a bit too controversial, maybe don't create any mood board. The second problem which could have an impact is the use of the tools we are using for creating websites. So the most popular tools nowadays is Figma, Sketch, or Adobe XD, which offer more or less the same functionalities. As far as they are great for prototyping, for creating design system, they are limited with some tools where we can involve more of a creative techniques. And I'm talking about drawing, I'm talking about bitmap editing or vector editing. So my second tip would be, don't let your tool shape your design. Get involved with other tools. It could be anything, it could be Photoshop, Illustrator, whatever, 3D. So what now? Shall we ignore trends? Like Pirate Bay? This is 2015, this is 2022. They are super resistant to trends, which is cool. It's a great, bold position. Or shall we go against the trends and create something artsy, which is hard to use, but it looks creative? I think that the third option would be the key. We should embrace the trends. Now, let me share with you 6 tips of how we can embrace the trend, which work for me. Study the past if you define the future. That's the first tip. While some of the trends stay longer and turn into classics, like this simple parallax effect, I remember that it started like back in 2011, and it's still presented, it still works, it's still good. Others simply want like these old school shiny buttons. So I believe that knowledge of what shaped the design, as we see it, could elevate your approach to practice and create your own vocabulary, your own voice. And ultimately, you can predict, maybe you can predict in the future, the next trends and how to master them. Now let's take a look at this trend of combining text with emojis or the symbols, dingbats. Would you say this is an original idea? You probably anticipated the answer. It is not. If you look back, there is an old text from France from 16th century, and the picture on the right is a T-shirt from 80s. My second tip, trends influenced by technologies come and go, away and influentially fade, but ideas and creativity don't. They are eternal. Good ideas are the driving force of great design, because beauty is no longer enough. The best works excel not only in craft, but they are driven by creative concepts. And it could be a real differentiator. This is an example of our portfolio where we put these appreciation buttons. It doesn't have to be something big. It could be like an Easter egg or something on your website, which you haven't seen before. I was inspired by these automatic replies on LinkedIn, which I found kind of weird and funny at the same time. And the third tip, the role of a designer dramatically changed over the last years. from this tech enthusiast to a versatile creative person, and with so many templates and copycat solutions out there, it places new demands on us, creators. You may be bored or stuck with drawing the same rectangulars, changing colors and applying 4 columns grid. What can be an elevating moment is to get involved with other creative techniques. And thanks to my education, I got involved in various art disciplines which had some impact on my personal style and to my approach to design. Now let me show you a few disciplines that helped me and that necessarily don't involve the computer. So the first one, thanks to the lessons during my university, where I learned some basics of calligraphy, I did not only learn how to write this simple italic alphabet, but I also improved my handwriting skills. You can start with just the paper, you will line lines there, you draw the lines, and you start with basic lines, which later on are connected together into words. So you never know, if this, for example, could be applied for some future project. Or this is an interesting exercise that we did on typography lessons during my university studies. And the goal was to rewrite this Trian typeface, which is the epitome of the classical typography, serif typography. What more, we had a goal to create small letters for the capital letters for the Trian font, which didn't exist. So it makes you think deeply about how the letter is constructed. And if you touch the pencil, if you start to draw on a paper, it has a different feeling than if you would do the research on the computer. So put your hand in the ground and start maybe this, It would ultimately help you to understand how the typefaces are built, all the details. The other discipline is a simple drawing, and I use drawings skills many times for creating icon set, for creating mood boards. So you can doodle anywhere. All you need is just a pencil, marker, or brush, whatever, and just randomly start drawing something that you see around. And you don't have to have a natural talent for this. This is a skill which can be learned, so anyone can do this. One of my favorite hobbies that I do and I use also for my creative approach, for my design, is photography. I use film cameras, I use digital cameras, and I shoot everything from portraits to sunsets with the cars, and or people. And from time to time, I have a chance to create something for clients. This was a client that produced these aluminum foils, and we were invited to create a content, the photography, to their factory. So we shot a few pictures for them. So also that's another discipline that you can work with. Pro tip number 4. Okay, let's face it, how many times we had to work with low quality content? While expectations are high, the content we get is usually low. And of course, the clients expect only the best works, right? Which put us in a lot of stress. So being part of the process of creating content for any kind of project has a great impact on the outcome. If not being in a position of the creator, then to have a chance to participate on the process of creating is highly desirable. This is an example of the content we created for our website. So if you don't have a chance to help client with the content, create your own project. We had a lot of fun shooting this. We printed the logo in a 3D printer. We also shot some videos. This was for the awwwards section in our website. And this video was for a contact section, subpage. Project number 5. So I believe that the best tactic for boosting your work and ultimately shaping your style is the hunger for knowledge. And you are all hungry here because you wouldn't be here, right? So the willingness to adapt and to change is the key. So make sure that you are not living in your bubble, in your safe zone, where you just feel comfortable. If you pay attention, not just to design references, but other cultural disciplines like art, could be film, it could be fashion or music, whatever. It gives you the whole picture, and you could realize how everything is connected together, how the principles of each discipline are usually the same, and it eventually could help you to elevate your work. So I try to surround myself with an environment and people that inspires me. I look at things, like on this video, nice things, I took pictures of them, whatever. So remember that your work reflects your interests, your character, your personality, your culture. That is also a key differentiator, to be somehow different. And my last tip, have fun. Forget briefs, forget deadlines. I'm a football fan, and I just realized that my club, which is Slavia Prague, has really bad brand identity. So I took a chance and I redesigned their logo. I even created the new jerseys and some of the applications, And I knew that probably I won't have a chance to sell this somewhere, but just in pure love for design, for my football club, I did this. So I think it's essential for you, not just to work with commercial projects, but to find a time for your self-initiated projects, where you can express yourself without any boundaries and just feel good. It doesn't have to necessarily be even in your specialization. So, my last sentence. I wish you would find a position in design that you feel, that you find joy and purpose. And think of design not just the service that drives capitalism. It's much more. It has been about 14 years for me in the industry, and I still don't have enough. It's my job, but at the same time, hobby for me, at the same time. Thank you. Thank you very much.